All right, good evening, everyone. Today's exciting notes are changing our vertex form to general form. And I think on the last notes that we took, in fact, I know, I had both of these formulas up here. Vertex form, we should be very, very, very good at right now. And general form, you should have seen last year, but we're going to take another look at it. There's just a couple of things I want to talk about first, kind of our academic language. One of them I'm going to throw over there is constant. Okay, a constant in a formula is a number that's not going to change. So in the first one, the vertex form, A is a constant. It's just going to be a number. H is another constant. It's just going to be a number. And K is another constant. It's just going to be a number. The Y and the X will stay Y and X when you have an equation, and those are called your variables. So we've heard that word a lot. This should all be review for you. The constant is going to be a number, and the X and the Y are going to be variables. So the constants in general form are A, B, and C. And the variables, we have X here, this X is squared, the first X is squared, the second one is just X, and of course, Y. All right, so just know the constant is going to be just a number, and the variable, of course, can be any number that we choose to make it. So how do we make a formula like the vertex look like the formula in the general form? And the first step is going to be that you expand the equation using one of three methods. Okay, so you're going to expand the equation using one of three methods. That I'm going to teach you guys today. And you've seen some of them before last year, I'm sure. Then, the second step, so these are just kind of high-level steps. The methods are going to be the hard part of what we're going to start to do. The second step, or step 2, is going to be simplifying and combining like terms. Okay? Combining like terms. Okay, so we'll have two different equations, but when we graph them, we will get the same parabola, right? Oh, you guys, I did this in class all day with period 8. I don't know if I did it with the other ones, but I kept forgetting to put the squared above the x minus h. I'm glad I remembered to do that. Give me a hard time the next time you see me. I swear there's like a brain function issue with it. Let me write down the methods over here, and you can make sure that we get all of them. Okay, the first one we're going to do is going to be the area method, area model. And I know you've seen that. The second one is going to be a grouping model. And the third is going to be FOIL, which is just kind of a shortcut for when you get really good. It's probably one you're not going to use till you feel really comfortable solving. So let's do an example. And let's start with the area model, okay? So the example equation, remember we're taking a vertex and we're going to move it into general form. So an example, 2 times x plus 3 squared minus 5. So we're going to expand that. So what do I mean by expanding that? And just really quick, I hope you're saying in your head, oh look, this is the vertex is going to be the -3, -5 for this parabola. And since this 2 is positive, it's going to open up, right? So by expand it, I mean this. We're going to make it, you expand something, you make it longer. So what does that look like, first of all? And let's just make sure we know we're doing the area model, okay? So the 2 is going to stay the same. But this x plus 3, it's x plus 3 squared. Oh, sorry about that line. X plus 3 squared, and what that means is it's x plus 3 times x plus 3. So let's take a look at that. X plus 3 times x plus 3. So it's not squared any longer. I expanded it. And then minus 5 is going to stay there as my constant, okay? So how do I multiply one set of parentheses with another set of parentheses when there's a variable inside? Well, I'm glad you asked. One of the first things we're going to do is draw a box. And since there are two terms, there's the x, which is a variable, and the 3, which is a constant. I'll put terms up here. Since there are two terms inside, I need to make my box a 2 by 2, okay? So that there's 4 numbers and there's 4 boxes, all right? So I'm going to put up here one of the x plus 3's, and this x is positive, right? And here I'm going to put the other x plus 3, and this x is also positive, right? And then I'm going to multiply, just like when you're doing lattice, right? Kind of. I think I was never great at lattice. I do old school. But this box is x times x, which is x squared. This box is 3 times x. This box is also 3 times x. And this box is going to be 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay? Now I have an entire, and just make sure you know that these are all positive. So it's positive x squared, positive 3x, positive 3x, positive 9. And we're going to put them back in. We're going to have 2, and instead of all of this, we're going to put one parenthesis, and we're going to put, starting with the biggest exponent, so x squared, and we're going to have x squared plus 3x. We're going to put all 4 of those numbers, plus 3x plus 9 minus 5 is still there, okay? And we've expanded it. We've made it really long, right, from where we started in vertex form. So now we're going to do the second step, which is simplify our like terms. So let's see here. What's going to be the easiest way? We're going to do y. And let's just add 3x's and 3x's are like terms. I can't add the regular x's to the x's squareds, only the x's to the x's. So plus 6x, right? Plus 9 minus 5. Now I need to distribute that 2 through everything in the middle of those. Ooh, I'm going to throw distribute up here. The academic language, I like that word. I like to say distribute. We distribute that 2 throughout all of the parentheses. So y equals 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times positive 6 is positive 12x. Don't forget that x. I didn't say it. Positive 2 times positive 9 is positive 18. And then minus 5 is on the outside of the parentheses, so it stays. And make sure you guys are putting these on the side over here. Negative 5. Now I can combine, it looks like one more thing. I can combine the 18 minus 5, and that'll be my last step. So y equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 13. And it's done. My a is, that looks like a 9, that's an a. My a is oh, you guys, I'm not making any sort of letter. My A is 2. My B is 12. And my C is 3. And these A, B, and C's are going to come in really handy when we start doing the quadratic formula. C equals, why can't I get that on there? C equals 3. Okay? You're going to really need to know what those are when we start doing our, 13. 13. Now it looks like a B. Well, it's 13. When we start using the quadratic formula. The last thing I will say, one thing that you can find in this formula is that 13 is the, or C is the y-intercept, okay? So I don't know if I can get it on here. C is the y-intercept. So you should have written that down even though it looks blank on mine. So I'm going to change papers here because it looks like I'm running out of the bottom of my paper. I'm sure you guys have more room on yours. And we're going to write down the steps for the area model. Okay, so make sure you have these in your notes. So area model, oops, hold on. Steps. All right, you guys, so I wrote up my steps, but I'll walk you through them. Step 1, draw your box, right? Step 2, put the terms on the sides of the box. And for quadratics, we're always going to just do a 2 by 2. Let's just make up some numbers. And let's use some negative numbers. X minus 4 times x plus 6. Okay? And why don't we make it a negative x and a minus 4? And that way, we'll play around with negatives and positives, okay? So next, put your terms on the sides of the box, then multiply the numbers. So the corresponding numbers, right? I hope you know how you can multiply which ones. Negative x times x is negative times a positive, so negative x squared. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative x times 6 is negative 6x. And negative 4 times 6 is negative 24, right? Now substitute your terms back into the equation. So where I would have had negative x minus 4 times x plus 6, that's where I got the sides of my box. Instead, I have one set of parentheses that is negative x squared minus 4x minus 6x minus 24. And last step, just really quick, combine your like terms. I know that's part of the other steps, but let's just do this to make sure we know how. It's going to be negative x squared. There's no other x squareds. And then I have minus 4x and minus 6x. I have minus 10x's altogether, and then minus 24. So this is the same as this. And I'm going to go ahead and do separate videos for the other two models, so please be sure to look for those. But why don't we just say this video is over.